Let's get the actual underlying commodities and what's happening there. Manisha is here with that. Manisha.
Well, thank you for that, Prashant. I want to take you through crude itself and various scenarios on how the street is working on whether the crude is going down or beyond 80 from here on. So what we are looking at right now is that we've seen 5% of gains in the crude oil prices in the overnight market. And with this now, we are heading to the best weekly gains since Jan 2023. If you look at on how the scenario really has been for the crude oil prices on a monthly basis, well, last month we saw prices decline by nearly 9%. And for the month of October, the prices have gained up by nearly 9%. Now, there have been various reports on whether or not the crude oil prices can go to 80 and beyond. That can happen if Israel attacks Iran's oil facilities. Well, that is something that has been discussed for quite some time now. Remember, Iran is an OPEC member. It produces 3.2 million barrels per day, which is 3% of the global output. Also, Middle East overall produces 1/3 of the global output. So if this spreads around in the Middle East, then we are looking at a concern. And yes, the crude prices can go up. The second scenario is that there could be a retaliation from Israel on the Kurg Island, which is Iran's main export facility. So we've talked about on production and now it's about export. Iran actually exported almost 1.8 million barrels per day in the month of August. So that is something that can be immediately impacted. The third scenario is on whether or not the crude prices can go to 80 and beyond is if Iran disrupts oil flow out of Strait of Hormuz, and this would be most critical and crucial because this is where what would choke almost all the crude oil that comes in from Middle East. So these are the three scenarios that the street is working with. If any of this happens over the weekend going forward, then yes, you are looking at crude oil prices at 80 and beyond. Apart from that, when you look at the Russia-Ukraine conflict, when that happened, we did see the crude oil prices go to $130 a barrel. But then it did not sustain there and we saw the prices come down quite sharply. The pricing closing for 2020 was 85. When you look at the last year, the range has been 73 to 93. Range until now this year has been 70 to 91. So we are far away from the highs of this year at this point in time, even as we're looking at various concerns there. Now, when you look at the global supply-demand mismatch, that is what is weighing onto the prices right now, is the reason you haven't seen 80 cross by right now. So OPEC and allies' spare capacity is quite high, much more than what Iran produces. Apart from that, the Libya oil production is coming into the markets. You also have weak Chinese demand. The US production has been on the higher side. So in sense of supplies, we are very comfortable and demand really not picking up. Now, going forward from here, it really is going to be about the US non-farm payroll data that comes in today. And then, of course, you have the US presidential elections coming in the month of November, and they wouldn't want the crude oil prices much higher. So it's going to be a very interesting next 1 month on what really crude does in light of all of that.
Thank you very much for that.